This lesson module completes the UTMB Self-Teaching Systems Introduction to Auscultation series. Equipment for this lesson consists of the computer and its display, which are controlled by mouse inputs, a sound and pulse reproducer, two separate but similar units, each of which is clearly marked as to function, and a pair of high-fidelity earphones. Plug the earphones and reproducers into the indicated jacks on the junction box as directed. Simulated heart sounds may be listened to with headphones, but the pulse must be simultaneously palpated at the pulse reproducer as if you were using your stethoscope with a patient. Detection of murmurs begins by first detecting all cardiac sounds, beginning with S1 and S2. All other heart sounds are then identified. What remains is most likely to be a murmur. One must listen selectively for an extended time to the periods of systole and then of diastole to be sure nothing is overlooked. Identification of murmurs begins with identification of S1, then S2, and systole and diastole. Correct timing of a murmur as systolic or diastolic eliminates approximately half of the murmur's potential identities. The final step in identification consists of matching the acoustic profile, the variation in loudness and pitch of a murmur, to one of the three remaining signature profiles produced by basic hemodynamic mechanisms known to produce murmurs. Nomenclature, the names of murmurs, can sometimes be confusing, for in the past, a great variety of names were given to the same murmur, more than 40 different names to the innocent ejection murmur alone. The names used here are simple, accepted, and based on the cause of the murmur. Before we study these murmurs, we should know how to document them. There are 6 major characteristics of a murmur that are useful and should be included in sound diagrams. When does it start? When does it stop? When is it loudest? How loud is it? What is its profile? What is its predominant pitch? After heart sounds have been drawn, place a dot on the timeline at the beginning of the murmur. Place another at the point it disappears. Place a third dot at the loudest point, whose level above the baseline is proportional to loudness of the murmur. In many murmurs, joining these dots with a line will provide a profile, but after sharp rises and falls, some murmurs have relatively constant amplitude, and you will have to add a second amplitude dot before joining the dots. In a few cases, the profile is complex or curvilinear, and simple dot profiling won't work. Finally, we need to show the pitch on the diagram, and this can be indicated by either fine or coarse lines, or words for low or high-pitched murmurs. An innocent ejection murmur occurs in many normal people whose aortic pulmonic valve ring is slightly small or whose initial systolic blood flow is greater than usual. The result is that the first portion of ventricular ejection exceeds turbulence threshold, and the ejection murmur is produced. This murmur is often present throughout the patient's life. Characteristics of this murmur have been described in your second lesson and include listen to and diagram these 2 murmurs. The murmur you heard is a classic pulmonic ejection murmur proven innocent by absence of other pathology. The second murmur you heard is from a child and used to be called Still's murmur. Note that it is more prominent and the heart rate is irregular, a usual occurrence in youth. In spite of its prominence, without other findings, this is an innocent ejection murmur. now covered the most common murmurs in pure form and have been shown how they can vary with severity over time, and how the same murmur may be innocent in one person, yet signal the onset of serious disease in another. Knowing the prototypical signatures of these basic murmurs as shown here provides a solid basis for their identification. A hard copy of this material is provided in your workbook. In practice, things are not always so simple, and you may have difficulty even hearing many sounds in practice. This is when good hearing and listening techniques are crucial. Moreover, there may be extra sounds and murmurs and rapid heart rates. This is where routine carotid palpation is crucial.